Good morning, everyone. I think esteemed guests on the dais, they will have a lot of insights to share about the work that is happening in PSUs. I'm going to present a little bit of a different perspective if my co-panelists allow me to do so. So three things. One is the PSUs are today supercharging the GDP growth in India. So they are the new growth engines. It's no longer the private sector alone. It's actually the PSUs which are driving it, whether it is in defense, whether it is in railways, whether it is in housing, infrastructure, anywhere. But having said so, it's always important that we always create a power of living by 1 plus 1. No one in this current system or kind of times can do alone. So private sector partnership with PSUs to deliver a government or a private sector project is going to be the norm going forward. There are multiple such examples. I take ISRO for example, aerospace, space sector which is actually taking advantage of private sector embedded along with them to launch the cheapest of the spaceships and making us proud, or in railways, or anywhere else. So it's important that the private sector participation comes. Now, how do we actually only look at a private sector from bringing a capacities and capabilities, but not also look at how do we embed the technology and the next generation. I heard Fahim talking about emerging tech. How do we actually ask the private sector to bring that as a part of the outcome-based model? Can I actually, a PSU can ask a private sector to say that improve my quality assurance process, because a lot of PSUs do a quality assurance as a project management using either a drone or a camera vision or some other technology which will enable me to do a better quality assurance, for example, a road, a building, or a engineering services. That's possible because the private sector is deeply invested into tech side of it. While the public sector is looking at creating more jobs, making sure that the programs which are released or strategy released by the government is executed on the ground properly, the private sector can take the role of infusing this digital into that. That's one. The second is, how do we tame this animal of cyber? It's important that every single critical, or I will now go ahead and say non-critical infrastructure or utility should be highly cyber secured, because 2030 is not too far when our entire systems are supposed to get compromised because of the quantum actually going to be live in 2029. So it's important everyone gets onto the road of quantum safe. So how does, where the PSUs are, it's not in their core business to invest in that space, whether it is core cyber activity, core endpoint security, core network security, or on the application side of the quantum side of it. Again, the private sector can come in. The partnership should not be a vendor and a supplier kind of a model. The partnership should be, I go and deliver something to the government or a private sector, and PSU's capabilities are enhanced on the security side of it by using a private sector along with them. And it could be an outcome-based model. You don't need to pay the supplier on a project basis or a delivery basis. It could be an outcome-based model. So there are several models today prevalent, and private sector is far more mature in terms of handling those. Third aspect, my favorite one, which is sustainable. We see, we are in Delhi, and I have been living in Delhi for since 79, and I just left Delhi 4 years back because my kids couldn't breathe through. And this is today the same condition. It's actually our responsibility when we get into any kind of a project or infrastructure project, we need to have sustainable infrastructure development methodologies. There is a specific amount of investment required initially to deliver these kind of projects, which will actually depreciate the amount of bottom line that any entity will have. But again, that's how the beauty of the partnership with the private sector. You bring in the private sector who will invest, who has already invested in the sustainability because they have taken those targets much before. I'm not saying PSUs are lagging behind. I'm saying there are objectives of every single entity. They are different, and therefore instead of saying that I want to actually be competing against the private sector on the same objective, I want to be net zero, I want to do X, Y, Z, complement and partner. That will help you a 1 plus 1, 11 kind of thing. A working together is the model going forward. Thank you so much. My talk was a little different from the agenda, but I thought it would make a little bit of a different perspective, and I would request all the panelists to also debate a little bit on partnerships. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.